Well, my friend, this is one of those videos that may age either very well or very poorly. And part of that is that it's not so much based on stories, but is more of an opinion piece on a certain kind of reaction to them, which is the need to claim those stories, in a sense, or those characters. In my opinion, this can kind of be the dark side of the fandom, as in the part of the fandom of something that you don't really want to interact with. But I also want to keep this a bit on the generic side, even though I will mostly be referring to stuff from the stories samples, because I hopefully want to focus more on behaviors to watch out for, since it's not only confined to fandoms. And one of the key things is to really watch for behaviors, because sometimes we can get so used to it being certain people to avoid that we miss when we're actually acting out those behaviors ourselves. And then by focusing on what behaviors is, we can not only check ourselves, but also be like, okay, this is a situation I might want to step back from because of the behaviors people are exhibiting here. And now, claiming something doesn't always, it's almost natural in a sense, because we all long for belonging. We all want to be accepted to be part of the group. So, in essence, when we see something that to us is almost representative of traits that we consider our own, it feels validating. Yet, the issue comes in when what is perspective versus what is text. Because we see things as we are, not as they really are. And it's kind of an interesting thing to really think about. We're all basically going into things biased. That's I think that's almost like the starting point that we should start with. We are biased. We aren't unbiased. We are very, very, very biased. And again, that's kind of like when someone is like, I'm giving my unbiased take, I tend to disagree with that. But then again, there's a lot of things I disagree with. For example, when someone is talking about a story and saying, oh, it's obviously about this, or allegorical to this, or this is what is actually going on in the story, I can often tend to doubt it because so often people are already going into something or a story looking for those things in particular. They are seeing things as they are, not as those things actually are. But even beyond that, people can take it far further to almost claiming something or a character for whatever group they are a part of, and then getting upset when someone they disliked or simply that they don't agree with likes that thing as well. It's like, how should I have anything in common with this person? They are so other from me. It's just kind of almost funny to watch in a sense when you take away from just the vitriol. It's like, you don't did it, do you? This is just a story. This is just a character, and people liked it as well. And they may not agree with your interpretation of it. And again, maybe that's the thing that they get most riled up about is that they don't necessarily agree with their interpretation of it, or their interpretation of things, or their worldview. So that's why they have such an issue with it when they like those things as well. And maybe part of it has to do with a need to be right in a sense. And it's kind of interesting watching how we as humans often jump through hoops in order to try to justify ourselves or to be seen as right or the winner of an argument or whatever. And we almost debase ourselves in trying to prove our point. But we as a society also seem to have forgotten that it's okay to agree to disagree and just basically go our separate ways or whatever, or that we can still be cordial to those we disagree with. We don't have to like or affirm them or praise them or promote them or whatever, but we can still treat them as human beings. We don't have to instantly other them. Now, on the other hand of this, I will admit that there is an argument that sometimes fans can be very strict with who they will accept into their little club. And for example, I think of the fan versus follower kind of concept that was kind of, I think, a trend, at least in some Christian circles, where it's like, are you a fan of Christ or are you a follower of Christ? And I really did that because there's almost like a deeper level to most things, where on a surface level, it's easy to like something, but diving deep down and almost living it out or making it a part of your life is completely different. And as kind of the example with fandoms in particular, I think there's a difference between I like this, so I have some merch, I've seen some of the movies and so forth. And there's, I want to learn more about this, I want to share it with my friends, I want to talk about it, I want to buy all the merch, I want to read all the lore and so forth. There's that deeper level there. And then there's also the, I want this to be what I want it to be. And I think it's that third one that most people have a problem with. Because when you talk to someone about their interests, most of the time they're happy to share with you after all they're interested with it. And then if you have a genuine interest in either them or what interests them, then again, they'll be happy to share with you. Sometimes it can be like drinking from a fire hose because they finally have someone to talk to about it. But again, it's when you show that genuine interest in something that they enjoy that most people are happy to have you as part of it. Again, it's like, again, if you want to learn more, you just ask someone excited about it or deeply within it. If you want to know the watching order of a certain series, there are people you can probably ask for that, and so on and so forth. But the thing that most people have problems with it is when that interest in something isn't genuine. It's like someone is interested only in what they can get out of it, or they would be interested in it, but only if it completely and totally appeals to them. So it becomes more about them than the other people or what the interest actually is about. So again, those kinds of people want to see things basically catered only to them or have everything changed to suit their preferences and so forth, rather than actually being like, okay, this is a cool thing. We can all get along because, or we can all at least enjoy it together as it is. And then some people would say, oh, but it could be so much more. But again, it is what it is. And some people liked it as it is. And again, most fans tend to get very kind of testy when things change and they don't like it, especially when it's drastically in change and almost seems counter to the spirit of the thing. But that's kind of beside the point. I think I kind of want to end off with 2 points in a sense. The first is to remember that many traders don't really care about who enjoys their product or to what extent they enjoy it. Because at a point, as long as there has been the agreed exchange, they're fine with it. Again, merch sales are merch sales. Now, while some traders may have an issue with certain people liking their stuff, most people don't have a problem with it as long as you've done that agreed exchange of you've either made an account or you purchased a product. Again, because money coming in feeds us, clothes us, provides roof over our heads, and also lets us reinvest into the product or whatever it is. And so that's just something to really think about on a base level, and that most traders don't really care who's enjoying their product. And finally, is the second point is more directed toward the traders themselves, in that applicability and relatability can be much more timeless than something that is simply defined as being a feature or a group or being representative of a time. And it kind of always goes back to the talking animals and like aliens, robots, all those kinds of characters where it's like something that isn't human, but their whole thing is about being human almost. It's like we can remove almost every single thing and focus just on what makes a human human in a sense. Our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, our fears, whatever it is, we can just go on that journey with them. And it's like once you realize it, and once you realize that that is almost like the core of empathy, to realize that we are human in a sense, that we have that shared connection or whatever. It's like you don't really go into the othering status a lot of times unless, well, I mean, we probably all do at times, but again, the thing is to focus on those timeless aspects of being human, the human experience in a sense, is much more important than just being like, okay, this is what the story is about, this is what it's an allegory for, and so forth. Once you get that human aspect, it just lasts so much longer and can touch so much more people. But then, there is a point to making things a bit niche, but I think there's also that thing of really focus on what makes us human. At least those are kind of my thoughts on this matter. And why not feel free to share yours in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, you can like and share it so that others may enjoy as well. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel so that you can see more. Anyway, I'm Jonah, and you've been watching Linesman Media, where we celebrate stories and the lessons of them. Thank you for listening to my musings. Talk to you later and have a great rest of your day.